I have a theory, and I think this should go on. The thing is that magicians, to be a successful entertainer, I think you have to start as an introvert. Because when you're an introvert, you're the guy that wasn't good in sports, or you couldn't sing or whatever, and you couldn't be in band, and so you're this introverted guy who likes to stay in his room and write or draw or whatever, and study and read books. And books were my solace. Like you know, took it all in: Sherlock and Egyptology and ghost and anything to do with the paranormal and magic. And so then there's that shift. When you become a teenager, now you've got to earn a living. I had to break out of that shell and become Diamond Jim. Like I was just Jim until the moment that, I had to perform in front of people. And I knew I needed a stage name. So how did I meet Brian Brushwood? We hung out at these conventions when we'd see each other about once a year. And so we just became friends that way. And we realized we both had this love of bar bets. And then my Bamboozler books came out. He had just started Scam School. He would use some material from the Bamboozler books. And then he came to the conclusion, like, Jim, you should just be on the show. So then I just kind of became a regular on the show. Should magicians teach magic online? The answer is yes. Should we expose magic? No. There's a lot of people who expose magic online. They go, here's how Shin Lim does this. And they just expose it. And that's wrong. Like on Brian's show, we do the effect, we give it the respect it deserves, then we teach it to the spectator and then ask them to perform it. And we do that so we can critique them and send them on their merry way. And yes, we have taught them an effect, but now it's fostered this love of magic in them, whereas maybe they didn't have it before. Maybe they have this greater respect for magicians, like, oh my gosh, this is not as easy as I thought it was. And and then all of a sudden they want to know more about it. Anytime we do things like that, it makes all of our phones ring more. These guys that are not for teaching magic online, how did they learn? They went to the library, they got books, right? And YouTube is the same thing. It's a library online. I don't think there's as many guys complaining about teaching magic online as there used to be. I think most people have come around to the understanding that this is the internet is a teaching forum. It can be used for good and bad, obviously. But the guys that I have heard that are against it charge people lots of money to teach them magic. So I think it's the fact that we're doing it what seems like for free. I think that bothers them. They have this moral dilemmas, like you shouldn't be giving away the the keys to the kingdom. The secrets to magic are behind a locked door, and behind that locked door is an empty room. You know, magic is what we create in people. You know, and so I think it's important to pass it on. If you're entertaining, it doesn't matter. People are going to forget what you said. They're going to forget what you did, but they're going to remember how you made them feel. When I was 16, I approached a restaurant about doing magic there. And it's kind of a funny story actually. So there was a guy who was a clown for this Tex-Mex restaurant called Tia's in Mesquite. And he said, "Hey man, I just quit this gig. If you do magic, you should go talk to him." And so I show up to Tia's and tell them, that I do magic. And they're like, "Okay, well, once you put on this clown suit and this clown wig." And it was a decent paying gig, but I knew that I was not going to wear that suit. And so I was adamant. I was like, "Nope, I'm not wearing that." I said, "I'm a magician. I'm not a clown." I said, "I'll wear an outfit, but I'm not going to wear that. I'm going to wear something nice. I need something with pockets, basically." And so the guy said, "Okay, here's some money." He actually gave me money to go buy a tuxedo. We're trying to be stylish. I bought a white tuxedo jacket. Big mistake if you're going to be working in a restaurant on a white jacket. People, it's Tex-Mex. There's hot sauce everywhere, and so I was always having to clean that jacket. I remember he said after the first few weeks there, he goes, "Jim," he goes, "you're missing something." He's like, "You need a mask or something." I was like, "A mask?" And so I went to Magic Land and bought like a white Lone Ranger mask. And after the first 2 nights of wearing that, you'd walk up to a table and people like, they were startled, like, you know, like, thought you were gonna rob them, you know? I told him, I was like, dude, this mask thing ain't working. I said, it's scaring people. He's like, all right. So he finally let me start being me. How do you choose the best material for a restaurant? Well, I say, when I started, I was very green, using lots of trick decks. I think that's a mistake because when you approach them, you're in their space. When they're at that table, that's their space. So they can be very grabby. You know, they might grab your cards, they might grab your trick coins. It's not like they're being rude. It's just they feel like he's in my territory right now. So people can be grabby. So I recommend don't use things that use a lot of gimmicks. Anytime you can borrow something, like I do my ring and string routine, I do tricks with the salt shaker, with the sugar packets on the table. I do tricks with their dollars. I do things where I get in their head. Things that reset quickly are obviously the best because normally if you're good and the restaurant's busy, you're gonna have at least 6 tables waiting to see you and you're gonna have a hard time keeping up. I owned every trick deck known to man. And so I'd pull out one trick deck and I'd put that away and then I'd pull out another trick deck. And after the third deck, people go, why do you need a different deck of cards every time you do a trick? Most people, when they see a magician, they're very flattering, they're very nice, most people. And they say nice things. You're the best, that was awesome. But as soon as you walk away, the truth comes out. So then they might say, I saw that card in the sand, or I saw where he put that coin, or whatever. They'll say things like that. So I started tailoring my act to the things that they would comment on. Like I went to use just a normal deck. And then they'd say, well, can you do this? And I would listen to them, and I would come up with a way to do that. There's an effect I do now where a signed coin appears inside of a sugar packet or their borrowed ring. And all that came from an idea of a spectator. It was like, is this possible? And at the time, I couldn't think of a way to do it. But it took me about 10 years of problem solving to come up with the easiest, fastest solution. How to get restaurants. When I first started in restaurant magic back in the day, luckily I had other guys that were well-known restaurant magicians, and they would let me cover for them. So if there's guys in town that are already doing restaurants, that's a good in. You say, hey man, if you ever need a night off, or you got a private party, you know, please call on me, and do good, show up, do a great job, because you're representing them that night. And you do not want them to lose their gig because of something stupid you did. I had that happen once with a colleague where he showed up drunk to my gig, and I heard about it the next time, and I was so livid, and he had no clue that he almost cost me my gig. Be professional, you know, look sharp, act sharp, be attentive to all the people. Don't entertain the staff. Entertain the people that are, you know, at the tables and are paying to have meals there. That's good to win over the staff because in their minds, especially waiters and waitresses, you're competing with them because people only have so much money on them. You know, I guess with a credit card you can leave a tip, but what I'm saying is if they're giving you cash, sometimes the waiter's thinking that's cash he's not getting. But probably the best restaurants to approach also are singly owned or small chain restaurants. If it's a big chain and they've got to talk to the manager, who's got to talk to the general manager, who's got to talk to the district manager, who's got to call some guy in Florida, you're not going to get the gig. That's the best way to get a restaurant, is to walk in, have dinner there with your girlfriend, your friends, whatever, and get up and just do a little magic for some of the staff, call over the manager, the owner, show him something, and usually they'll ask you, hey man, that's awesome, do you have a card? And then you've got your in. You go, hey, yeah, let's talk about maybe doing this on a semi-regular basis where I come in and entertain your guest. So that's like it's their idea. Yeah, the best restaurants that are candidates to be open-minded about magic, first look for restaurants that feature live entertainment. Maybe they have a DJ, they have a band. those are much easier to approach because I'll say, look, we've got live entertainment here. People come here for that. I say the great thing about Magic is it's very personable. They're getting an interactive show right at their table. So if I come to your restaurant and I don't like this band, I can't turn them off. I said, so if I hear them once and I don't like it, I may not ever come back again. With Magic, you get to ask the question, hey, may I show you something? They can accept or decline. 90% of the time they accept. It's interactive, it's fun. You're in their head, you're doing magic with their rings, their dollars. It's like, they love it. That was always my selling point to restaurants. It's like, look, people want to go out and have dinner and go see a show. You're bringing the show to them. And they're having a memory of this place where something amazing happened. And they're going to tell their friends about it, and it's going to snowball. So here's a contract for 6 months. You hire me on, and if you don't see business grow, in that amount of time, then let me go. But if it does, then we can talk about maybe adding a night. And so I'd always go in and pitch and say, I'd do 1 night for this much, 2 nights for this much, or 3 nights for this much. And people like that A, B, C option. If you give them 1 option, it's yes or no. You give them 3 options, they're probably going to choose option B. And anytime I would get that gig for the first time, I would stack the deck in my favor. I'd tell all my friends, tell my family, hey, show up tonight, have dinner, and as you leave, don't tell your waiter, don't tell the hostess, make sure you find the manager or the owner and tell them how much you enjoyed the magic. Now, yes, that is a little bit of cheating, but it's gonna happen the next time you're there. So every time I would work a table, anytime they would try to hand me a tip, I go, you know what would be even better? If you go tell the owner how much you love this tonight, because that way I'll be here next week when you come back. And when you're working that restaurant, it's the perfect time to go get another restaurant, because you go down the street and you go, you know what? This restaurant down here has a magician every Wednesday and Friday night. Guess what? It's me, and they're busy. How about we do the same thing at your place on Thursday night? You want to see it? Come down here and see me one of these nights. I tried to get them to come see me there, but also a good thing to do is offer a free night for the other restaurant. Just 1 night, say, hey, why don't you buy me dinner? I'll walk around for a couple hours, entertain your guest, and if you're impressed, then we can talk numbers. Yeah, projects. I'm always at projects. I've always, like downstairs, I have a project board that always has at least 10 to 20 things that I'm working on. Right now I'm designing a metal top that spins for like over 12 minutes. Most tops that spin for that long cost like $100 or more. This one's gonna retail for $40. My new cards are out, the diamond playing cards. I've always thought if I could have a cool looking marked deck of cards, what would it look like? I don't use marked cards, but it's nice to have as insurance. And so I think these are beautiful. And I was always a purist. I always wanted to use bicycle cards when I perform because it matched my gaffs, and it's just everyone knows what bicycle cards are. But now they sell them, and you can go to CVS, you can go to Walgreens and buy a cardistry deck now. My opinion of them started to change. I thought, I need something that's symbolic of me. And these cards are that. They have my logo, but even if you're not me, I think you'd like the design. They look very sleek. They come in a black box. It's got an ambigram that says diamond. It's very magical looking before you even open the box. The marking system, I think, is diabolical. Phil Smith out of England helped me design these. He also created the DMC deck, which was like the #1 best-selling deck last year. You can look at them from pretty far away and be able to read the marks once you know they're there. It's kind of like the magic eye. You can't see them until you know they're there, and then boom, they just like jump off the card. So Bamboozlers 4 is in the work, but I'm also working on designing a Bamboozler deck of cards with Phil right now. And we're about more than halfway through the process. What else? I've got a new book coming out in the spring. It's basically a compilation of Marbets from the Bamboozler books. It'll be in all the major bookstores. My Bamboozler books have always done well for me. I think the first one came out in 2008. No, actually, I know it did. And I've sold 3 Bamboozler books a day since 2008. I think for a magic book, that's really good. And so there's 75 bits of business in each book, and I think people love them because they fit in their pocket. They look like little Bibles. They look mysterious and magical. And it's a lot of good, easy, fun material. It's the kind of stuff you'd find on Scam Nation. I'm doing my own one-man show now in Dallas, where I'm selling tickets for people to come buy seats and come see the Diamond Jim show. Got some touring coming up. I'll be in Asia in March, doing a few different Asian countries and casinos. So yeah, lots of fun things on the horizon. So